Good afternoon from Dev Northwest. I'm Sarah, and today I'm joined by our very own lead youth housing and health navigator, Chris Pence.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. And on today's webisode, we're going to be discussing rental barriers and how to overcome them. We will talk about common rental barriers, overcoming rental barriers, and then where you can go to review your credit profile. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone that Dev Northwest offers rental counseling and a Renting in Your Rights workshop. You can sign up for both by going to our website, devnw.org. Okay, Chris, what are some of the common barriers people find when looking to getting into a rental?
It's a great question. There are quite a few barriers to getting approved for a lease. The first is insufficient income, including insufficient savings for the deposit or application fees and bank overdraft fees. Most landlords have a policy that the applicant must make a certain amount of money. For example, a landlord may require tenants to have an income 2 times or even 3 times the monthly rent. And a renter will also need savings to pay for the rental deposit, which is usually equivalent to 1 or 2 months of rent, and funds to pay rental application fees, which are usually less than $60 per adult. Another common barrier is poor credit history. On a credit report, a landlord will see current debts, outstanding debts, and collection amounts. A landlord may overlook late payments on common forms of debt like student loan debt or medical debt, but they're usually less lenient for things like unpaid utility bills, court judgments for money, or debts due to an old landlord. These will make landlords nervous that you may not pay the rent. Landlords also often ask for rental references and may call or email your past landlords. Now, if a past landlord says you didn't pay rent or were otherwise a bad tenant, it may lead to a denial on future rental applications. Criminal history can also be a barrier. Under the Oregon landlord-tenant law, a tenant can consider arrests that resulted in a conviction and currently pending charges when reviewing a rental application. But they have to list on their rental criteria what specific crimes they are looking for, and you can ask for a copy of that criteria before you apply.
Awesome. That's all good to know. Can you talk a little bit about some ways to overcome those barriers you mentioned?
Yeah, there are quite a few ways to overcome those barriers. It's different for each one. For insufficient income, I would recommend connecting with your local housing authority or calling 211 to get in touch with rent assistance programs or low-cost housing. Most areas have subsidized apartment buildings that will have low monthly rents, but these often do have wait lists. Now, for criminal history or a history of substance use, consider working with private landlords and be prepared before approaching a landlord. Have all treatment services documented with letters of support from clinicians, case managers, or others who may have worked with you. Obtain court documents testifying to charges that might have been dropped. It may also be helpful to help educate the landlord by providing informational material about recovery and treatment. The goal is to convince landlords that despite any criminal history you have, you would make a great tenant. For poor credit history, it's important to look at your credit report to be aware of how it looks before applying for a rental and to watch for any discrepancies or errors on your credit report. You can check your credit report for free at annualcreditreport.com. And you should report any mistakes, especially any debts that you didn't authorize. If you have unpaid utilities, make payment arrangements so that you will be able to have utilities in your name if your application is approved. Be ready to explain any past evictions and obtain all relevant court documents. Be prepared to explain a bankruptcy and provide any proof that you are working on improving your credit history. The best way to rebuild your credit is to start making on-time payments for all active credit cards, auto loans, mortgages, student loans, etc., even if you can only make the minimum payment. Now, if a past landlord is giving you a bad reference, you can contact them directly and offer to pay any debts you may owe and ask that in return they tell future landlords that you no longer owe them anything. Finally, if you want more help and information, you can call us about a rental counseling or our classes, or you can look for a Rentwell class. Rentwell is a statewide education program that's designed to help people overcome rental barriers to getting their own lease. Often it's free to take, so check the website at rentwell.org for more information.
We'll also put a link in the chat below for where you can find Rentwell. Well, thanks, Chris. This is all great information. At Dev Northwest, we offer rental counseling and a youth housing program that you lead. Can you share a little bit about your program?
Sure. Our program is called Youth Choice Housing, and it's specific to Clackamas County. Now, we serve people 14 to 24 years old who don't have a safe place to live. And we have a lot of housing choices to offer: temporary housing, rent assistance, and host families. We can also help with things like rental application fees, applying for public benefits, as well as education and career counseling, so that people in our program can, really get a leg up. And it's a fairly new program, so we're really excited to watch it change and grow. If you have questions, you can email me at chris.pence@devnorthwest.org.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And that's all we have. So we'll be back next month with more episodes from all of us at Dev Northwest. Have a great week.